Okay, we're live then. So sorry about the apologies for, the technical delays. But hello everyone, welcome to SK Live. And today I will be discussing about how Borussia Dortmund is making a global impact. And joining me in the discussion right now with us is Head of Asia Pacific for Borussia Dortmund, Suresh. Hi Suresh.
Hi,
And
Tarika.
we
Hello.
do expect Hi, and we do expect Benedikt Scholz, who's the department head of international commercial and new business for Borussia Dortmund, Benedikt, to join us soon. He's just facing some technical glitch, but I'm sure he'll be with us soon. So, Suresh, we have spoken, we were just discussing offline about what amazing work Borussia Dortmund is doing and your partnership in India with Hyderabad FC. But I will first start with the question of, how has Borussia Dortmund's business model been impacted by the pandemic? And how are you tackling those challenges?
Sure. First and foremost, thank you for having me on this live session. It's a pleasure to share my ideas and share my thoughts about the club with everyone here in India. So thank you. I think it's been the pandemic has been quite a big challenge for all of us in the sporting industry, not just for us as a club in Borussia Dortmund, but across all sporting properties. So it's been quite a challenging situation for all of us. We need to find ways to manage the situation, and the club has done it very well in managing the situation. But I think looking at how things are progressing from a commercial perspective and a business side of things, I think we've all, again, as you started with this interview with technology, technology has been the first and most important aspect for us right now. So all of our activities right now are all within through digital means. So I can speak a little bit more from Asia perspective. We have created a lot of digital content the last 8 to 9 months, which is so important for us because we have all our stakeholders that are from our sponsors to the media to our fans, which I will touch a little bit more when the question arises regarding fans. And so these are 2 or 3, and also the our immediate commercial partners as well. So these are 3 or 4 key stakeholders that we need to find ways to continue building this relationship with them. You know that we recently did the virtual Asia tour, which in my opinion was a success, and we really truly indeed had overwhelming engagement and response with regards to the virtual Asia tour. We had digital campaigns for our clients, fans. We have been involved in webinars, lectures, e-conferences. So these are I would say, the new norm right now for what we are doing in light of the current pandemic that we are all facing.
That's really great. I mean, obviously, Bundesliga was also the first league to be to restart post the pandemic. So I don't know if you got a chance to travel to Germany to see how it was going and to play without any fans and the challenges with obviously the league is facing. So if you have any comments on that.
Sure. I mean, again, we actually had a global audience. We obviously kickstarted the restart of the Bundesliga, and you can't get any bigger than watching Borussia Dortmund take on Schalke for the opening game restart, and which again we played last weekend as well. So I think everyone was hungry for football. Everyone was waiting patiently, anxiously for at least some European activity or European footballing activity to happen globally. And I think you can't get the best stage for a match between Borussia Dortmund and Schalke. I didn't get a chance to travel. Obviously, we were all on a somewhat soft lockdown, and to get on, let alone getting onto the plane, but just traveling out of your home was a bit of a challenge for all of us. But we're happy that at least we managed to complete the matches that we restarted during the second half of the Bundesliga. But yeah, we're looking forward to the current season, and we hope that we are able to also complete the season till the end of May.
So Suresh, you talk about end of May, but we've seen like for in the UK, like there's this what they call is the second wave or the third wave which is going on, and again no fans are being allowed in the stadium. So do you think if this situation persists, it's going to there's no point of having matches without fans in the stadium? I mean, yes, you can make a make do arrangement of having fans being present virtually. So do you think this new normal is going to be is like the new thing to stay rather?
To be honest, what is football without fans? It can never it can never happen, right? So, I mean, especially for a club like Borussia Dortmund, you're looking at 80,000 people on a given match day, 25,000 standing on the yellow wall, jumping, singing. I think this is something that it will take a while for us to relive these moments again. But football and spectators go hand in hand, and our fans go hand in hand. So I still think that's the missing piece in the complete puzzle for us, and it's not the same. We are driven by fan engagement. We are driven by the passion of our fans. They are the ones that are coming to the stadium, getting your black and yellow top, having a pint of beer, bringing their hot dogs, and watching a game. And that's exactly what football is all about. And as far as the fans are concerned, and they want to speak to their friends or their friends around, they want to go to the merchandising shop, they want to spend some time picking up some of the new shirts or the new launch of jerseys. So these are things that are important for the whole footballing ecosystem. But if you don't have fans coming to the stadium, that's such a tough thing to accept, right? So, but we have to be real, because it's the pandemic. It's something that's it's ongoing right now, and as you have mentioned, in Europe, it's not looking very good at the moment with regards to the infection cases going up. So we are all concerned. I think the health and the well-being of the people is of priority at the moment. But I think at the same time, we are also hoping that, I mean, football can still put a smile on everyone's face.
That's nice. That's what all of us can expect given the current circumstances. You mentioned about the virtual tours. Tell us something more about it. Elaborate on it.
Sure. So we actually, if I can remember correctly, we are the first European club, or one of the first European clubs to engage in something of this magnitude. So typically what happens on a given end of season per year, it's that the team travels on a tour. We were due to travel to Asia this year to play in a few matches, and also to be close to our fans, which is so important for us, to be close to our partners like Evonik, like Puma, and all the guys that have been in great support for us. And also the media, because I mean, the media is the one that will be speaking to us, and also to have a chance for them to interview the players, the coaches, and this is so important for us. But unfortunately, we had to be innovative. We had to be creative in a way whereby we could find ways to connect back to all these stakeholders that we have, but more on a digital platform. So since we have, as I mentioned, technology is there for us, and technology is our best friend these days. And that's why we feel that the first ever virtual tour can be realized. And we did that in consultation with our partners, also in consultation with our digital team, to ensure that this is something that we are able to deliver. We did quite a bit of activities to get close to our fans, and try to customize it, try to localize content, because as much as you localize, you feel the connection between that particular market, or that particular, for example, Asia and Borussia Dortmund, because that's something that we always do on ground. But since we don't have this touch points, or when we are on ground, so why don't we do it something more digitally? And every one of us right now is on social media, so we aggressively do it on our Facebook, on Twitter, on IG. So this is exactly what we were trying to do. So we've done things like football skills test with different organizations, with fans. We did a virtual meet and greet session. We had a virtual press conference. Typically, when you think of a press conference, that we are all there looking at an actual interview or actual press conference being held or taking place. But then you're sitting actually in the comfort of your homes, and then you have the likes of I don't know, Marco Reus, or you have some of our players, Emre Can, if I could remember, that they were in front of the cameras and actually speaking with you. So that was a very, very nice experience to give to the media and our fans. They were able to engage with them. They were able to ask questions. So those are things that are very, very special and dear to us. And I'm hoping that we could also do this again in the possible future.
Of course, and I would like India to feature in, if you could.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I would really like to know, is India, in your scheme of plans to do something like
Again,
that? Because, yeah.
absolutely. I mean, we've been for 3-4 years in India. I mean, again, we have the likes of Evonik and Puma, who is so vastly present in India, especially Puma, which was, if not one of the biggest apparel brands in India. And that's why we feel that there's so much ways that we could connect in India. And obviously now with the relationship with Hyderabad, we feel there's a lot more that we could do. Obviously, cricket it's still the number one sport in India, but I see a lot of young and aspiring kids that are interested in football. You can see football is like the new sport for the younger generation. And people are also all very interested to know what's going on in European football. So there is an interest. It's not just an interest, but a huge interest in football. So why not? I mean, if there's a chance that we could do something, even a virtual tour in India, that will be something that we are happy to put together and also.
Talking about that, I heard, the Legends team was supposed to be visiting India, but at the last minute, because of the pandemic, it got cancelled. Will we see that happening sometimes in near future?
Oh, of course. I mean, again, you're right. I mean, the situation didn't allow us. We were very close of actually coming to India. The discussions took place, and we were ready to jump on board and to come down to India and play in a match which we have never done before. I mean, knowing that we had a team of 15 players, notably a couple of World Cup winners, some former players that have won Champions League. So we are actually bringing a strong team. And at the same time, we want to get close to our fans. We want to get close to the media. We want to find ways to connect with the people in India. We want to share footballing stories. We want to share success stories. We want to enrich and engage in knowledge transfer. That's pretty much what we were looking to achieve, but unfortunately, we can't. But we are hoping that we can do this again. And as soon as we are able to, I would just say that this has been postponed rather than cancelled. So at least this could be realized in the possible future.
Borussia Dortmund does have a very good fan base in India because, just I think before the pandemic, I remember there was an activation which you guys did. So
Yep.
is that the way of, BVB engaging all the Indian fans? Is there something more than the Legends matches and, you have these sponsorship activation activities which keep going?
Sure. I mean, we are proud to have about 8 official fan clubs in India, namely in Pune, 2 in Kolkata, Bangalore, Chennai, Mumbai, Kerala, and Delhi. So again, for a club like us to have 8 dedicated fan clubs, it tells you that there is a lot of interest for the black and yellows. We have already a dedicated person. I think, Taruka, you're familiar with Max, so he's obviously spearheading and coordinating most of our activities for India. And then we have a guy called Sebastian who sort of coordinates and manages all our fan engagement out of Dortmund. He is an important person for the fan department. And we have done quite a lot of things. I mean, in 2017, we brought the German Cup, which we won. We engaged with the fans and do meet and greet session to take pictures with the trophies. At the same time, we'd also brought former players like Jörg Heinrich, Roman Weidenfeller. They've all visited India. And these are things that we would like to continue to do. And I know that the fan culture in India it's strong. We've seen the Indian Super League and see how fans have supported their local teams and how they have really come in big numbers. We are hoping at some stage this can also be a door opener for us to be present in India like in this magnitude. And I'm like I said, I'm confident that the fans has a huge appetite for the Bundesliga and for Borussia Dortmund. I mean, I've always said this in many of my interviews. I said, look, you can be a fan of Manchester United, Liverpool, Real Madrid, Barcelona, but you also have a space in your heart for Borussia Dortmund. And that's why we are a different club from everyone else.
Definitely. I think no wonder you guys partnered with Hyderabad FC. Tell us about that, partnering with an ISL club, and what's the strategy? What was the thought behind, partnering? Because I know before Hyderabad FC, you partnered with Volvo Sport, and I think both are owned by the same person, if I'm not
Correct.
wrong. So tell us
Correct.
about that.
See, I think before I talk a little bit about Hyderabad, I think what's important is that we were fortunate enough to have the likes of as I mentioned, Evonik and Puma in India, and as we've done many activities, we feel there's a huge interest of football with the kids. So we've been in the market for 4 to 5 years, and we see there's so much interest with the young kids. Whenever they have the ball, they use their feet rather than their hands. So in their minds, they're interested to play football, and I think football would probably be in to a certain extent, one of the biggest sport. I'm not sure if it will compete with cricket, but I'm sure it will give cricket a run for its money. But I believe there's so much potential with these young kids as far as football is concerned. But I think at the same time, there's so much room for development, and also so much room for improvement in terms of garnering and developing young talents. And that's where Hyderabad FC comes in. And for HFC, as I said, we have been in the market for 3-4 years, learning and understanding the footballing climate in India. We've seen how the ISL has grown tremendously in the last 5 to 6 years. But you need an infrastructure for youth, and that's why we felt that you look at Dortmund. We have a very young team. Most of our players, I would say 40% of players are in their teenage years. We have a very good youth system that sort of brings the young players through our academy into the first team. So we've got this very nice structure that's in place. And I think Hyderabad HFC had this vision of also wanting to find ways that they could have the young players from their own academy slowly growing and developing and playing into the first team. I mean, of course, there's also the black and yellow of this Hyderabad it's color yellow, which obviously makes a nice fit. There was also the footballing fan culture. I think they wanted to learn a little bit more about the fan culture, how spectacular it is to sort of keep everyone happy in an 80,000 arena. How is it that we are able to export this adrenaline into the rest of Asia, or at least the rest of the world? How did we manage to bring that sort of love towards the club? And this is something, I mean, if you speak to anyone, Borussia Dortmund is a standout club when you talk about fan culture. And that's something that we are also aspiring to share this with Hyderabad FC as well. There's also the other aspect of digitalization or digital world, and how we connect with the footballing ecosystem through digital means. And this is exactly what we have been doing. So there are 3 or 4 key areas that we are looking at, and I think knowing the owners before as well with W1 Sports does help. I mean, and at the same time, for him to also find a way to continue developing that relationship with us to Hyderabad FC was also very, very important for us.
So does that mean BVB in future will give chance to young players from its partner clubs like Hyderabad FC to play for them?
I mean, it's difficult to say that you'll have someone from Hyderabad that will eventually play for Borussia Dortmund. And again, we are in a realistic world, because at the end of the day, I think what's important for us is to nourish the kids. But I think what we can do is give the children a chance to train in Dortmund, and that's what we are hoping that we could achieve. And I can honestly tell you, our coaches will be there to monitor, to assess. And if there are really, really top talents coming from this program, and I'm sure our coaches will find a way to get some of these players to come over to Dortmund, to train, to learn the philosophy. I mean, once you're in the academy, you're at a different level altogether. You're competing with the European kids, which obviously, apart from size and posture, I think the ability levels are also something that you need to also have a way to challenge them. Obviously, your food, your nutrition, all these things comes to play. But if there are talented kids out there from this program, rest assured, I'm very, very sure that we will try to bring them to Germany to train.
That's great. That's great to hear. And Suresh, you talked about, Evonik and Puma. in the Indian realm. So are you looking for any more sponsors, or exploring more partnerships in the Indian with the Indian brands? And why do you think those more brands should come forward and sponsor teams like BVB?
I think when you look at Germany as a country, and when you think of Germany, and especially for us, like a football club that comes from Germany, when you think of Germany, you think of German precision, right? You think of top automobile brands, you think of top electronic brands, and these are things that remained. There's a certain class, there's a certain level of professionalism, there's a certain level of quality in that sense, and that's why Dortmund it's different from some. I'm not comparing it with some of the obviously much more popular clubs, but in terms of structure, in terms of the way we give young youth a chance, I think Dortmund has a different way in doing things. And for us, of course, going out into not just the Indian market, but any markets in Asia, having a local brand to partner shows the relationship a little bit more with Germany to a certain extent, because you want to be part of this wonderful German style of football. I mean, you look at how Germany has been very strong even internationally with how they have been successful in the national teams, for example. So that's why I feel there is an opportunity for us to reach out to local brands, and honestly, as much or as local as you can become, it makes it a little bit more authentic, because that's exactly what we are. We drive on things to be authentic. We drive on things that we do it out of emotion and out of adrenaline, and this is something that's different from some of the other European clubs. And to answer your question directly, yes, we are looking at brands, Indian brands, but it has to fit into our culture. It has to be a brand fit. We're not just there because we want to find an Indian brand that pay us money and say, yeah, thank you very much, let's sign a relationship, and then 12 months later, thank you very much, we'll see you in 11 months time. It doesn't work for us that way. We have to find a way where we could grow the brand organically. It has to be a handheld opportunity, a win-win opportunity between the two parties, where we can at the same time reach their objectives and at the same time leverage the brand that we grow organically with them. So that's why I feel whenever we find a brand, we want to make sure that the brand that we are working with has the same synergy with us and the same objective that we are hoping to reach. I don't know if that really answers your question directly, but I hope you understand
No,
what I'm trying to say.
of course, I totally understand what you're trying to get there. Also, we've seen post-pandemic, the entire sponsorship and marketing advertising dynamics are completely changed. I mean, there's cash crunch, there are no fans in the stadium, there's no, ticket revenue coming in. So what are the new dynamics of, because you obviously work in and out with brands, what are the new sponsorship dynamics within the industry?
That's a good question. I think what it's important for us, the traditional sponsorship model right now, it's a big struggle for not just for a club like Dortmund, but I think for most of the other clubs as well. Not just the clubs, but the other sporting properties as well around the world. And it's difficult when you don't have visibility, because when you are, especially in a stadium, and you are driven by 80,000 people watching a particular a match where there are brands being exchanged, there are online activation being done, but all these activities cannot be done, right? So that's why now there are three or four different angles that we are approaching. I think the first one, it's education. I think education, it's I would say, maybe to a certain extent, COVID proof, because everyone would definitely educate themselves or take up their courses to upgrade themselves. So I think education is it's an area that we would like to develop further. We actually now have 3 university partnerships in Asia, and we're hoping that something like that can also be realized in India, because it's all about sharing knowledge. Now in these days, sports and education has a good link and a good connection. And there are people that are also embarking into the sporting industry or the sporting sector, where they could also learn and benefit from understanding the sporting culture of a football club. So I think education is important, and I think that could be a nice sector to look into. Right now, we are doing webinars, we are doing e-lectures. So these are things that still give everyone a chance. So you can't be in a classroom, but you can be sitting at the comfort of your homes, like what we are doing right now, and still enjoy a session on I don't know, on nutrition, or a session on sports psychology. So these are things that we are able to deliver, and that's one area that we think that we could also see as a form of revenue. Obviously, there are others like corporate social responsibility. I know CSR is something that we are able to develop, and I know there are companies that are also looking into ways that we are able to give back to society. Why not use football as a platform to give back to society? And that's something we are looking in terms of. I mean, this is not something that is going to bring you big money, but at least the engagement is important for us. And that's why I think areas like CSR is important. Esports, or e-football, as you call it, this is the new ways. I think everyone now is involved in gaming. I think the gaming world has taken the world by storm. Everyone is basically it's either your phone or your iPad or your console. That we are all engaged in games these days, and that's an idea, or that's an angle where we could also develop further. So there are 2 or 3 sort of, I would say, alternative revenues, as I could put it, and how you can develop other forms of sponsorship opportunities.
Talking about esports, obviously, like you said, it's the next big thing. So what is Borussia Dortmund doing in terms of, like, will we see a team soon? Esports,
Yeah.
like, competing with, like, say, the more bigger competitors.
Sure. I mean, again, Dortmund is a very traditional club. I think we've just this year looked into esports, or e-football, I will call it. It's a work in progress. We have an ongoing relationship with Electronic Arts, or EA, and that's obviously everyone's familiar with the game FIFA 21, FIFA 21 these days. So we are engaging a lot with games, with influencers. We're doing an event right now in Vietnam with 2 influencers competing on a match, on a team that they will select, playing in Dortmund colors, and then competing with each other. We did an event as well during the pandemic, where the winning fan got a chance to play against one of our players or one of our legends, and FIFA match. So these are things that we are working alongside Electronic Arts, or EA, and the interest has been growing tremendously. We are now doing a couple of things in Korea as well. So yes, I wouldn't say we won't set up a team. It's a work in progress. We've already got an e-football team that's organizing all these activities, but whether we'll compete on a high level, it's yet to be seen. I think, like I said, we've just started it this year, and it's probably going to take some time before we reach a competitive level.
Obviously, I mean, I'm sure you'll get there, but see, Suresh, you handle the APAC side of the business, all right? So obviously, you guys, did the virtual tours in China. So which is your biggest audience when it comes to Borussia Dortmund fans within the APAC realm? Where do you have your biggest fans?
I think if you were to take China out of the equation, I think the biggest fan base, or the biggest fan following or engagement, I would say, and this also supersedes the number of engagement in Germany right now, is Vietnam. I think that has been one of the biggest assets that we have in terms of engagement for Borussia Dortmund in Asia Pacific, and that alone Asia Pacific, but just that whole international rim. And Vietnam has been very, very successful for us. Next, I would say Thailand. They have also been very, very proactive in engaging with us on any platforms, or I would say in all platforms. And third would be Indonesia. They are also very, very active in engaging with us. They are, they have a huge population, and most of them are crazy about football. Football is the #1 sport in Indonesia, and the engagement levels are really, really high. So I would say, if you talk about Asia Pacific, primarily, I would say these 3 countries that have provided us with a lot of engagement, a lot of touch points, and we feel very, very fortunate to have them with us.
Obviously, talking about APAC, I'll just follow up on that. We've seen a lot of in-stadia advertising, obviously, because I think now with broadcasting, that's the only way where you could try to reach out and gauge the consumer eyeballs. So is because I was speaking with Spot 5 the other day, who work very closely with Borussia,
Yes,
and
they do.
so do you think in-stadia advertising is going to shoot up? Now it's obviously was in focus always, but now it's just the demand has increased multifold for it.
I mean, we have a very unique, and it's good that you spoke to Sport 5, and I think Sport 5, if not one of the best in the business when it comes to advertising and in commercial, in securing commercial opportunities. And we have an ongoing relationship with Sport 5, and that's why, as you mentioned, advertising, we have this very unique model called virtual advertising, where you could obviously put your brands onto this overlay, a virtual overlay. So, for example, if you're in India, and then let's say you have, maybe one of your local brands that I'm just thinking out of my head, say Kingfisher, for example. I don't know if that's a good example, but say you have Kingfisher, and then you have that overlay in India, and say if you are sitting now in India and you are watching a game between Borussia Dortmund and say Bayern Munich, and then you will actually see Kingfisher's brand appearing on your TV screen. But if you are actually in the stadium, it's actually something else. So that's called a virtual overlay. So it's called virtual advertising. And that's exactly what we are doing. If I'm not wrong, probably there's another club or two more clubs. I have to justify this, but we were the first few to introduce this opportunity, because it gives brands a chance to be seen. If you're sitting at home and watching a game, say example in Vietnam, and you want to see the Kingfisher brand, you will not be able to see. So it depends on which areas that you are in. So it could be South Asia, it could be North Asia. So it's obviously spread into different sectors. There's actually 4 sectors, but this also gives you alternative revenues, right? So if you are hoping that you want your audience to capture your brand, then this is another opportunity where you will try to invest in getting your brands visible with Borussia Dortmund. So this is called virtual advertising. If anyone who's interested in this, I'm happy to share this as well.
No, I think you're right. Like virtual, like you mentioned previously, like alternate revenues are going to, play a major role, because obviously the main sources of revenue are a bit, facing a glitch right now. And apart from that, I am disappointed Benedikt wasn't able to join us, but maybe we can get him some other time. But if there's anything else you want to, mention, which, I might have not asked you, if there's anything you would like to tell me about what Borussia Dortmund's future plans are, not just with regards to India, on a global level, because I know I was reading day before, I think you guys recently signed a content partnership as well. So obviously that's a big focus as well for Borussia Dortmund. And obviously me, I have worked for very few days with Bundesliga, and I know, with Haaland coming and he scored the hat trick. So that was like really, really good. So if you could just give me, and we could conclude it with, the future plans of Borussia Dortmund, not just in India, but globally.
I think that's a nice way to put this interview to bed. I like to think that if you look at Borussia Dortmund, I mean, I just want the audience to understand Borussia Dortmund it's a club for the people, right? So we have the polarization. It's very, very small. I mean, you can, if you talk to anybody, and I would challenge anyone to go out and ask your friends out there, do you like Borussia Dortmund? And a lot of them will never say no, because they know this is a special club, right? They give youth a chance. They have a very unique color. They have fantastic fan engagement. Their fan base is it's magnificent. It's remarkable the way they coordinate, they orchestrate, on the yellow wall. And you talk about young aspiring players, like you've mentioned Erling Haaland. We have Jadon Sancho. We've now had a 17-year-old boy called Jude Bellingham, who came from the championship in the UK and now playing in the Champions League. I mean, would you ever dream of anyone who is 16 years old, let alone 17 or 17 years old, coming through the ranks and playing and trying to hold a position in the first 11? I think this is a dream come true for every young aspiring player. So this is the club that gives you an opportunity. And that's why I feel I'm proud to wear the black and yellow for this club. I've been with the club for 6 years now, and I'm still pinching myself every day to say this is still a dream for me to be part of this wonderful club, because it's about people. It's a family-driven club. My whole family is converted black and yellow, and it's something which you feel at some stage that you will sit down and ask, yeah, you've got your big clubs out there, your Man Uniteds, your Barcelonas, brilliant. I mean, we all have our favorite clubs, but there's something special about this club, and that's why I feel that anyone who's out there needs to take a little more, pay a little bit more attention to this club, because you can see, look at Erling Haaland. I mean, he could have gone to another bigger club, but look, he's decided to stay in Borussia Dortmund and play for this club, because he knows when he goes out there, when he wears the black and yellow in front of 80,000 people and 25,000 screaming his name, I just say it is goosebumps. And this is something only when you are present in Dortmund, you could sense this feeling, right? So, and I would encourage anyone who had a chance, when permitted or when allowed, to come to Dortmund and have this wonderful experience, because you will not be disappointed. It's a priceless experience. I would say it's one of the bucket lists that you need to do, because it's a very spectacular experience. So that's how I would probably end my 2 cents about
Definitely
Borussia Dortmund.
on my to-do list as well. Suresh, before we wrap up, should we check on Benedikt? Do you reckon we should check on Benedikt?
I think he messaged. Okay, 1 second. He messaged me and say he had problems with the connection.
Oh,
He apologized and he said, "I'm sorry. We'll make up for this.
don't worry about it.
Happy to jump on another session with you, Taruka. So yeah, feel free to
We
get
can
him
do that.
involved."
Yeah. I'll speak with him later. Thank you so much, Suresh.
Yeah,
And
no
I
problem.
think we had a lovely chat, like
Yeah,
always. And
thank you.
I'll be happy to see you in India very soon. And good luck
Sure.
with everything. And thank you for taking part. And yes, hopefully we can do another session and we can definitely get Benedikt and others. Probably you can try Haaland for us as well. If you
Yeah,
could.
we'll try.
Anyway.
Thanks for the
Please.
opportunity, Taruka, and yeah, all the best. And yeah, hope to see you
Thank
guys in
you.
India soon. Thank you.
Thank
Stay.
you. Thanks, Suresh. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.